Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right. Welcome into another edition of the JP Peterson Show here. All right, welcome into another edition of the JP Peterson Show here. We're trying out something a little bit different today, so you guys in the comments help me out here. Make sure you can hear me. Everything good? You guys got me? Everything good? Nick Geddes will be along here in just a little bit to help us co-host the show here today. We are in the midst of a pretty special basketball story, and it sounds awful damn familiar. And I'm talking, of course, about the NC State Wolfpack, the darlings of the tournament that have taken over America's heart. And, of course, in the ladies' tournament, we got a game tonight that is probably going to break a whole lot of ratings records, with Caitlin Clark and Iowa going up against LSU and Angel Reese and Kim Mulkey and all the whole damn drama going around LSU. That is going to be something really, really special. So lots to talk about today. An interesting weekend for the Rays. We'll get into that as they split a series with the Blue Jays. Lots of things we can take from that. We don't want to get too crazy about it. It's just the first weekend of baseball. So, they ain't going 13-0 as they did last year. So we'll break that down a little bit. We'll do some Bucks talk as well. Steve Carney's going to join us at 10:30. Of course, covers the Rays and has since their inception. So we'll chat with Steve at 10:30. And then 11:30, Eric Erlinson's going to join us to talk a little Bolts as they play again tonight, coming off a win over the Islanders on Saturday night. A very impressive win, I thought, too. Probably the best first period they played all years. They win 4-1. And that was, they have 20, I think they had 21 shots in the first period, which was the most for the season. And it was an impressive display. Now, the Islanders pushed back as you knew they would. But the Lightning, who have done a tremendous job of holding on to leads as of late, did the same thing. And boy, Vasi has become Vasi again. And we talked a little bit about that earlier. So I'll get into that. And we'll talk a little NBA here as well. I'm not the biggest LeBron fan off the court, as many of you know, but what he is doing on the court is unbelievable at his age. At 39 years old, what he is doing, almost averaging a triple-double, is insane. Now, I don't know if the Lakers are going to factor in, a championship run here. They're clearly not the deepest team, but man, you got to tip your cap to what LeBron is doing and just wonder how much longer he can play. And along the NFL, this is something that I've been talking about for a long, long time. Jaden Daniels. After last week's workout, you're starting to hear the buzz that maybe Caleb Williams isn't the guy. And I'm not a huge Caleb Williams fan. I love him in terms of his talent as a quarterback. I don't know if what he did in college translates very well to the NFL. I don't want to name the wrong analyst, but I heard one of the analysts say 75% of what he did in college, he will not be able to do in the pros. He's not going to be able to sit back there for 3.1 seconds and hang in the pocket and wait for guys to uncover and throw. Now, can he learn how to play at the NFL level? Absolutely. He's got an incredible amount of talent. I think he's a little bit immature, and being a number one overall pick and going to a major market like Chicago is not a place for the faint of heart and not for a place for the emotionally faint of heart. You better be tough. You better be tough as nails. You better have thick skin or it's going to get ugly. And I'm not sure he can handle all that. If I were the Bears, I wouldn't take him. I think Jaden Daniels is a much better and a much surer thing, if that's a word, a better bet, because of the fact that he has played in he's played in a conference that is freaking phenomenal, and that to me is way different than playing in, a substandard Pac-12 against a bunch of really, really bad defenses. So I think as this train keeps rolling, and I'm going to go straight to Vegas and put my money down on Jaden Daniels being the number 1 overall pick. I should have done it months ago when I talked about it first, but I think when push comes to shove, that's what we're going to see. So Nick Geddes is on. Do I need to bring you in, my friend? Are you there? Are you there? Can we hear you?
Yeah, here I am. You hear me okay?
Yes.
You hear me okay? I'm in here now.
I got you.
Sorry
you got
about
me?
that. Had some business to Yeah, I got you. Had some business to tend to this morning, but glad to be here. We got lots to get into. I don't know what you've discussed so far through the first 5 minutes, but obviously we got a big show here planned today.
Yeah, just a quick tee up of all the different subjects we're going to get into today, and Steve Carney and Eric Erlinson joining us. Not too deep into any subject. I'm starting to get into a little bit of Jaden Daniels vis-a-vis Caleb Williams, and I know you've been reading, if not writing, on On3 about how the tide is turning against Caleb Williams. We've seen this happen before with many quarterbacks. There's a guy that's the odds-on guy that everybody loves, and then Cam Newton goes out there and puts on an unbelievable workout performance, and he becomes the number 1 overall pick. I'm trying to remember some other guys that have done the same thing, but opinions change, and they really shouldn't, because these guys aren't playing football; they're just playing underwear football at this point. But I think what does change is the fact that you get to meet the guys. You do a little deeper dive in the personal one-on-ones with Caleb Williams, and the personal one-on-ones with Jaden Daniels. You do a little bit deeper dive as far as their character, talking to their teammates, maybe pay a little bit more attention to their emotional intelligence. And I think when you start doing that, Jaden Daniels goes up the board and Caleb Williams goes down the board. I think you look at Jaden Williams and his journey, from Arizona State, not necessarily I don't know how many people were out there. It's not like he wasn't highly sought after. He was, but I think Caleb Williams was more of kind of the anointed one, where I think Jaden had to prove it a little bit more. The numbers in the SEC are off the charts, and to me, it's the eye test. I watched him play twice, and his ability to run, his speed is off the charts. And he has a great instinct to run. His ability to throw the football is unquestioned. His accuracy, his deep ball, his touch, all of that. The numbers are off the charts. Can he sustain, from a health standpoint? He's very slightly built. There's no question about it. And, but he's not short like Bryce Young. He's not, he's got the height and the ability to deliver the ball over the top and see the defenses. So I just think from an emotional standpoint and emotional intelligence, and having, played a lot of football in the best conference, to me, Jaden Daniels is a much more safe bet than Caleb Williams. What do you think?
Well, I think part of this problem, and I've said this before on the show, is I think the process is so long drawn out. If you think about it, Caleb Williams hasn't played football since the end of November, and the draft is not till April 26th. So you have all this time to, like, as you said, go over everything, but people have already been going over his stuff back over a calendar year. So everything that comes out about Caleb Williams now, it has nothing to do with his on the field stuff. And when I think about it, though, I think sometimes the off the field stuff gets blown out of proportion. Is Caleb Williams out there causing trouble to anybody necessarily?
No.
He's by all, I don't know him. Obviously don't know him personally, but by all accounts, he's a really good kid. And I know that, I think the stuff about the, what is it? The painting of the fingernails, the pink phone, all that stuff to me is typical stuff that fans on Twitter will latch onto, to be honest with you. I don't know if anybody in the league is looking at that and going, "Oh, that scares me," because I think they're looking at, and I think the league still views Caleb Williams as that type of talent that you just look past certain things. And even then, should it really be that big of a talking point? I want this to be known that when I talk about Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, and I make a comment saying, I can see Jaden Daniels being better pro than Caleb Williams, I'm talking from a strictly on the field standpoint, from what I've seen with both guys, from some of the film study that I've done. And I see Jaden Daniels throw a football And even pro days are overblown too. But what that did show me, it kind of confirms what you see on tape from him. The ball explodes out of his hand. It's hard to explain, but you just kind of watch it. It just explodes out of his hand. He's got accuracy. He got touch. Obviously, he can move. Of course, he needs to put on some weight because he got popped a lot at LSU.
Yeah.
And when I mean popped, like he'd get hit and he would fly like 3 to 5 yards backwards. So he's going to have to fix that part of his game. But I do think the discussion is closer, and I throw May in there too. I don't want to throw Drake May out of the conversation. I think these three quarterbacks are as close of top quarterbacks that we've had in together in a same draft class in a long time. I don't think this was Bryce. I know Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and Anthony Richardson went in the top 4, and these three quarterbacks are probably going to go in the top 4 again. But I think these three are a lot closer together than the 3 last year were.
Yeah, and it also appears that we're going to have 5 or 6 guys taken in the first round. I've said this for a while. I don't think Michael Penix gets out of the first round, especially I think the more and more people look at him, the more and more you have analysts breaking down all his film.
Did you see his pro day? It didn't give him much pub, but and again, pro days are pro days. I get it. But was anybody expecting this guy to run under 4.5? I didn't see that athleticism.
No.
Did not see that coming. So
no, I mean, when you watch him play, I think you see it. I don't think it didn't shock me. But I think that the injuries are so, I don't want to say overblown, but it's just, you watch him play, and if it wasn't for the injuries, he'd be the number 1 overall pick, would he not? And I know you can't take that out, but it's just, I think there's just too much being put into it. He's just too good a thrower of the football. I mean, the NFL is a tough, any of these guys can get hurt, I mean, it can happen to anybody. Is he more prone to injury? I mean, given his history, I guess you'd have to say yes, but the talent is just it's too much to ignore. And for a team that really needs a quarterback, I don't see how you ignore it.
I will say this. If there's discussions, like I see this constantly with mock drafts, like obviously if the Broncos don't move up, I think they have pick 12, and they would potentially get the 5th quarterback because JJ is obviously going to be the 4th. He might be the 3rd guy for all we know. I think someone really loves JJ McCarthy. I don't know who, but somebody loves him enough that they're going to try to move up and get him at 4. I have to think. So if
he's so talented, and I get it, and he's a 5-star and all that. Jim Harbaugh is a good football coach. He's a really good football coach. And you just wonder, how do you play an important game and you got a guy that's worthy of the 4th overall pick in the NFL draft, and you don't even let him throw a pass? I mean, I know that's showing a lot of confidence in your running game.
I mean, if you go back and watch that game, I mean, what I've kind of learned now is this is actually, take note, Bucs fans, they could not block Chop Robinson in that football game. Michigan's O-line. And again, if you're a Bucs fan and you're a big Chop guy, go watch the game against Michigan, because a lot of people have been talking about that. Oh, they didn't let him throw, whatever. They could not block Chop Robinson in that Penn State defensive line. And that was one of the reasons why they just decided to go full slam down your throat, because they could. I mean, Michigan played to their strengths, and Harbaugh,
that's smart football.
Harbaugh's always been the running game is going to be my offense. Like, he's got Herbert now, and he's still talking about, we're going to ride Gus Edwards into the ground. That's Jim Harbaugh football, right? But no. So I think someone will get JJ, but to the point about Penix, if Denver stays at 12, I see so many mocks where they're like, oh, they're going to take Bo Nix. I think it'd be foolish to take Bo Nix over Michael Penix. I think Michael Penix has so much more that you can work with, than a Bo Nix.
I agree. I mean, to me, you know how much I love Penix. I'm like Bruce Arians. I think he's the best quarterback in the draft. I think he's the best pure thrower since Joe Burrow. And then go back past Joe Burrow it's hard to find somebody that throws the ball like he did. But listen, this is not just that Penn State game. He threw, he completed 72% of his passes, talking about JJ McCarthy. Which is absolutely phenomenal. 9 average yards per attempt, 9.8, 22 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 2,991 yards. I mean, these are numbers that pale in comparison to some of these other players. And yes, and again, if he's that good, I just think to me, it's a much bigger gamble than it would be on some of these other players where I've just got a much bigger sample size of how good he is. I just, to me, if I were looking for a quarterback and he's there and I got to take a quarterback, he looks the part. Gosh, he looks the part.
You know, it's an interesting take. I don't know if I've been listening to a lot of Joel Klatt through the draft process and everything, and he did a mock last week. And you know where he mocked Penix to? Was to the Dolphins at 21. Yeah. And you might go, the Dolphins, that sounds weird, but he makes a good point. It's like if you watch, like Tua has obviously thrived in McDaniel's offense. But if you watch a lot of those deep balls they like to throw, it's Tyreek Hill coming back to the football. They're never really in stride, right? It's not really Tua's game necessarily. And the Dolphins can't go over to the hump. Penix is the best deep ball thrower in this draft. And if you put him in a McDaniel offense with those two receivers, watch out. So that was a sneaky little one. And obviously, if you don't want to pay Tua $50 million too, which I don't know if the Dolphins want to, that's a decision they're going to have to make. Who knows? I kind of like that landing spot. I'm not going to lie. Michael Penix to 21 for the Dolphins.
Well, yeah. I mean, and with Penix, you could swallow that injury history a little bit more when you're dealing with Tua. You're like, I mean, Tua stayed healthy last year, right? He put on some weight and he stayed healthy. Do we think that's going to be the aberration? I do.
At this point with Tua, it's all about, it's the Dak Prescott. It's the Dak Prescott question. Do you want to pay him $50 million per?
He's not worth $50 million. He's not, because you can't pay a guy that much money with injury issues, because once you guarantee the 230, you're stuck. You're stuck. You got nowhere to go. You got nowhere to go. And if Michael Penix is there at 21 and you're the Dolphins, hell yeah, you take him. And then, if you want to trade Tua, trade Tua. I think that's smart football. I mean, think about that. That's how much more a year can you pay? I know it's not dollar for dollar, but you're looking like, if you're paying Tua $45 million a year, like Kirk Cousins just got, and probably the price would be higher, you're looking at it as compared to a rookie contract.
Yeah. And listen, it's not disrespectful. It's all business. And if the Packers felt like in 2020 they could take Jordan Love when Rodgers was still Aaron Rodgers as we knew him and was about to go win 2 MVPs in a row, then anybody could do it. No quarterback is safe.
Right.
The Patriots took a quarterback in the second round when Brady was 35 years old. They thought he was washed then, and they were taking quarterbacks. Nobody's off. Yeah. Nobody's off.
Yeah, Rick says Penix is going to the Rams.
I like that too. Penix in a McVay offense. That would be really fun to watch as well.
What is Matthew Stafford now? 35?
Yeah, and Stafford's 36? I think Stafford at this point in his career, he's got a family. He had the injury issues the year prior. He won a Super Bowl. He's probably on a year-to-year basis right now.
Now, I know he played better last year, but that elbow injury still scares me.
Yeah, I think he's a year-to-year guy right now.
Yeah, so they got to find somebody. Yeah, there's no way Michael Penix is getting out of the first round. And I think where he goes may surprise some people. And I think it was I was listening to NFL Sirius Radio this weekend, and the guys that did the mock draft on NFL Sirius Radio, guess what? Caleb Williams wasn't the first guy taken in their mock draft. Jaden Daniels. I think it was Jaden Daniels.
Well, Louis Riddick and Dan Orlovsky said last week on Get Up, I think it was, that they think Daniels is the best.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So we'll see where that goes. All right, I want to get into some other issues here. The Rays. I want to wait till you get on to talk about the Rays here, my friend. And I think you watching them this weekend, none of that surprised me. None of that really surprised me. And I think it's probably pretty typical of what you will get this year. And I think, Tyler Alexander, who pitched yesterday, got roughed up 5 innings, 5 runs. He's that guy is a lefty reliever. He's not a starting pitcher.
His stuff is
the
flat,
Rays know it. Yeah, the Rays know it. I mean, his ERA against as a starter is almost a full run higher. Because he's got to face right-handers. Right-handers just ate him up the other day. What were they, 6 of 16, couple of home runs. He just looks, as a right-hander, you're just licking your chops. It's just not, he's throwing 89, hits 90 every now and then on the fastball, commands his stuff, maybe not as good as he normally would. But I just don't see him consistently getting right-handers out. and he just looks like a really good lefty coming out of the bullpen. I think the Rays know that, but they're stuck right now. They don't have a whole lot of options. They tried this one. I don't know if they're going to stick with it, but they might. They got 51 games in the first 56 days. Normally coming out of the chute, you don't have to pitch a fifth starter very often, but the schedule sets up like they do. So they're kind of stuck right here until Shane Baz can get back or Taj Bradley can get back. I think they're stuck with him and, are just going to have to go full bullpen day and just use him as one of their bullpen arms because he didn't have the look of a starter to me. What do you think?
Yeah, it's like at first I saw it and my immediately thoughts were like, oh, he could be like, how Ryan Yarbrough kind of was. It seems like they had like a similar like pitch mix. Kinda.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's a good comp.
Yeah, but I mean, again, let's take into account this is a really good Toronto lineup, and they weren't great the day before, the 2 games before that. So eventually they were going to come through. Justin Turner in the first inning or the second inning rather. I mean, that's a major league hitter right there. That had a major league at bat, and he cooked you right there. So I don't feel confident about him though. And that was kind of how I was coming into the season. And even Wajaspek, Jacob Wajaspek is the other one that he
4
beat
walks.
out, and he didn't have a great day either. So that's going to be fluid. Eventually they're going to get Shane Baz and or Taj Bradley back, and they're just going to have to make it work till then. So yeah, I did not like what I saw from Tyler Alexander in that game, but overall, I mean, a 4-game set, you split 2, I'll take it. All 4 games, it was lopsided. It was lopsided in Toronto's favor game 1, then the Rays game 2, game 3, and then yesterday for Toronto. So kind of hard to get a read on that. But it was also my biggest takeaway, honestly, was Aaron Savali on Friday night, I went to the game on Friday night, late decision to go to the game. I sat in the club seats in the Baldwin Club, which is always nice. And Aaron Savali,
nice. Swanky.
Yeah, a little swanky. Late decision.
Is that the new all you can eat place? They call it
it's all you can eat and all you can drink, of course.
Okay, there you go.
So had a lot of fun there.
The old Rays Club. What's the Baldwin? Who's Baldwin?
That's what they call it now. It's like the Baldwin Club. They changed the name.
Obviously it's a sponsor. What the hell does Baldwin do? Do we know?
I don't know. It's like the Baldwin Group or something. I don't know. But that's the Rays.
Trying to give him a little pub here, but whatever.
Yeah, that was the Rays Club though, and Brandon Lau had the grand slam in that game, so that was fun. But that was my biggest takeaway. Aaron Savali, we thought it last year. He looked bang average to me. Average. Like his numbers were good, but the way he pitched, I was like, meh.
No, the stuff wasn't great.
But
it just wasn't impressive.
The stuff on Friday night was really good. So that was the most encouraging thing of the weekend for me.
Well, and also Arozarena getting going. A couple of opposite field home runs for him, which is good. That shows you Randy's, he's on it. Paredes had a home run, so that's good. You want him to get going. You don't want to look at last year being a fluke, 31 bombs, so that's good. Bilal, as you mentioned, getting a grand slam. When he's hot, he stays hot, so that's good. But the offense was spotty again. When they go cold, man, they look bad. They just look so bad.
Opening day was like,
oh God,
you're all excited for opening day, and then I tweeted out, I'm like, I'm ready for opening day to end, to be honest with you, because I'm a little bored watching this offense right now.
Oh, yeah. When they go bad, they go bad. They're really hot and cold offensively. Listen, and I'll say this, if they can stay at 500 until the second half of the season and get Rasmussen back and get Springs back, maybe add something at the deadline, although they're almost at $100 million in payroll. Oh my God, what are we going to do? And they could go out and add a big bat. I mean, they don't have Josh Lowe right now. Clearly, they don't have Wander Franco. And we don't know what's going to happen with that. I mean, we could be looking at a team. I mean, you never know. You just don't know. You could be looking at a team in the second half with Josh Lowe, Wander Franco. Oh, by the way, bad news. What's his face? Down on the farm got hurt. Got a quad injury this weekend.
He can have nice things. Junior Caminero.
Junior Caminero,
It's a bomb to dead center off John Means earlier in the game, and then he gets like a quad or a hammy, whatever. Probably gonna go
pulled up sharply too. It said, and had to be helped off the field. So that is not good. Yeah, right. Yeah, Junior Caminero. So yeah, that wasn't good. But you could see, a team with Josh Lowe and maybe Wander Franco. Got Taylor Walls. I mean, it's going to be a much different. Yeah, we ain't betting on any of it, but it could be a much different team at the deadline. So just, stay average, stay, right about 500, and then see what happens at the deadline.
You know what I did like, the new additions though. Like Jose Caballero. I tell you what, I really like him. I really like him. He seemed like he was a good glove at short. He made some nice plays. And he had some quality hits too. And he had 26 stolen bases. So, if he gets on base, he's going to be a threat to steal. That was a nice little acquisition. The low-key trade they make. I know they had to get rid of Luke Raley to acquire him. But he had a pretty good weekend. So that was encouraging. And also the thing about yesterday's game too, I thought this was interesting. And I didn't see this till after the game. And I don't know if you know him, Matt Germain. He posts a lot of like the Rays stats on Twitter and everything.
Yeah.
And he posted this. I saw it after the game, and this was interesting. So Sean Armstrong was the opener yesterday for the Rays. And obviously he had to go through Springer, Vladdy Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, and Justin Turner. This was interesting. Springer's lifetime against Armstrong hitting 300. Vlad Guerrero 8 for 11. Bo Bichette 4 for 9, and Justin Turner hitting 500. That was their numbers against Sean Armstrong lifetime going into the game. And then Kevin Cash still decided it was a good idea to trot out Sean Armstrong as the opener. I saw that after, but I was like, that's interesting because they obviously have access to those numbers.
They know that, yeah.
Right. Whereas if you look at Gausman, I saw Gausman on the mound and they were telling me, he had the issue with his arm in the spring training and he's only going to go 75. I'm like, I've seen this guy dominate the Rays for years, okay? I know what's going to happen. And conversely, all the Rays top hitters against Kevin Gausman, they're all hitting like under 100 lifetime against him.
Yeah.
And that held up yesterday. So you might have just been screwed from the pitching matchups to start yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, that's, sometimes it does go according to the numbers. We're going to have Steve Carney on here in a second. So I want to transition real quick to talk some Bolts before we get going in this first segment. Big win on Saturday night against the Islanders. The first period was just absolutely dominant. They were only up 2-1, but my God, they absolutely peppered them with shots. I think over 20 shots in the first period, dominated the entire. I mean, it was ugly for the Islanders. I didn't think they were going to get out of it without being down 4. And then Vasilevsky took over. As we were hoping that we would see this. They're now 8-0-1 in their last 9. The point streak continues. Kucherov continues to roll, although that scoring title is going to go back and forth as we get down to
gosh.
It's going to be a great race.
McDavid said, I'm going to let y'all get out in front for the first 5 months, and then I'm just going to take this thing over. Oh, my goodness, man. He's
got a kick coming around the final turn, but, hey, don't count Kuch out just yet. So that's a great storyline as we go down to the end, and I just love, to me, it's been Vasilevsky. Vasilevsky is back heading into the playoffs. And that is bad news for Boston. It's bad news for anybody that's going to play the Lightning because now the Lightning are looking a lot like that team we saw go to 3 straight cups and win 2 of them. And they're not to that level yet.
Yeah, it changes everything. It's Vasilevsky's last 8 games. They're 7-0-1, 1-7 goals against, 929 save percentage.
There you go.
Do I have to say anything else right there?
There it is. And they've been playing better defensively too. Let's not miss that as well. They're playing better defensively. They're not as giving up as many crazy, but he's making, 5 to 8, 10 bell saves every game now. And that's the difference.
He's in playoff mode. He turned his playoff mode on.
Yeah. He just, maybe that little rest that they had, they had 4 games and 15 days at home. Maybe that gave him a little bit of rest and he got rejuvenated. Whatever it is, looks fantastic. And they are rolling. Of course, they'll be playing again tonight as well. All right, we'll take our first break. We'll come back and chat with Steve Carney, who's been covering the Rays for their entire existence. So we'll chat with Steve Carney. Eric Erlinson will join us in the second hour at 11:30 to talk some more Bolts. We'll do some more Bucks, and we'll be talking college hoops as well. We are brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. Check them out because they are local and they get results. They are trusted. Scott Jeeves, a good friend of the program, will be joining us this week, and we'll talk more about the FSU lawsuits with the ACC. But if you have been in an accident, you've had your car totaled, you have some issues with a home builder or insurance company, Scott Jeeves is the man to call, and the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. Tell them JP sent you for a free case evaluation, folks. If you think you got a case, just call them up and ask them. They'll do the free case evaluation for you. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Back in 3 with Steve Carney. JP here from my friends at your local Synovus Bank, and I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta, big fan of the show, and I've known him for over 40 years. He's been in local banking since 1983. You talk about developing relationships. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation. And that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online. And for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how. For a get-acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to synovus.com to find out where your local branch is. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or try to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com. or call 813-485-6808.
With over 34 years of producing small and large events, Extravaganza Productions is truly a Tampa treasure when it comes to creating some of the very best events in Tampa and all across the United States. I've worked with them at the Florida Sports Hall of Fame inductions, the Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-sized event spread across all of Tampa Bay. They are the very best, from small meetings to exceptionally large corporate conferences to galas, fundraisers, sporting events, grand openings, whatever you want. Team EPI has an extremely talented staff of designers and show producers that develop extraordinary events fueled by the visions of their clients. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
On this Monday, the first weekend of Major League Baseball is in the books, and we are ready to rock and talk some Rays baseball with our good friend Steve Connie of stpete9.com. Been covering the Rays for their entire history, and he joins us now. What's up, Steve-O? How are you, partner?
Hello, JP. What's going on, Nick? How are you guys?
Fantastic. Wait, I'm perusing your Twitter, as I'm known to do.
Yes.
And I just saw this, and this is totally off topic, but I have to ask you about this because you're a Navy man.
Yeah.
Is this Florida Atlantic football tweet for real? They're going to play a football game with USF on an aircraft carrier?
No. That is definitely an April Fool's joke. And
thank God.
I said, technically, a football field could fit on a flight deck. A flight deck's 1,092 feet long and 252 feet wide. So you could fit the field itself on there. but there would be like almost no sideline. You wouldn't be able to put the teams on the sides because they'd be in the ocean. And God forbid anybody had to tackle somebody on that non-skid, because I
Oh
don't know
my
if you guys
God.
have been on a Navy ship, but the weather decks, the decks that are exposed to the weather, are covered in this stuff called non-skid, and it is the most evil thing known to man when it comes to your skin. If you were to ever fall on it, it shreds pants, it destroys soles of shoes. It is the worst thing in the world, but it's designed so you don't slip and fall when it's wet or whatever. It's the worst stuff in the world. I hate it with the passion of 1,000 suns, because it destroyed untold numbers of boots and pants and whatever. It's just awful. So absolutely not. There is no way in hell that they are playing a football game on board an aircraft carrier. In fact, the only fools would be FAU if they actually decided to go through with something like this.
The report
Certainly we.
The report was
Go
as
ahead.
valid as what I saw on Facebook this morning. Which was the Channel Side Marina was going to make a re-debut and have a Buc-ee's or something this morning, and they're going to have a Channel Side Marina Buc-ee's, and Jeff Vinnick was going to be the one that was facilitating it and everything. I saw that one on Facebook this morning.
Ashley told me about that, and I'm like, we don't have room for a Buc-ee's. The parking lot itself is bigger than Amalie Arena. I mean, where are we going to put the inflatable Buc-ee? There's no room for that down there. And
I think Ashley just wants to wear one of those jumpers.
Yeah, absolutely.
One
She
of the
looked
onesies.
great in it. Yeah, absolutely. I just, I was thinking today, Nick, we should come up with a nice April Fool's joke, but there's so many of them out there, and clearly, I wasn't hook, line, and sinker on that one, but I was like, that sounds like something that they would want to do for the publicity.
On brand. My grandmother texted it to me this morning and was like, "Can you believe this? Like, she bought it hook, line, and sinker." And I'm like, "Get off of Facebook. Just get off of it. Delete the app."
Well, I thought when I saw the Rays had $100 million payroll, it was an April Fool's joke, but it's not. It's damn near true, which is crazy enough, which will be a professional segue to what happened this weekend. I don't think there's a lot that shocked me, Steve. The new pitchers are going to take some time to learn the Rays' way. The offense was a little bit hot and cold. I think we probably should expect that most of the year. Anything shock you this weekend?
No, not really. I look at it, if they were going to lose a game this weekend, if you could say the Rays are guaranteed to lose this game against the Blue Jays, it would have been Sunday's game with the opener and with Tyler Alexander going. I look at Tyler Alexander kind of like I looked at Ryan Yarbrough for so many years, is that, his effectiveness is going to be based on how quickly and how often he gets ahead of hitters, and he just got behind too many guys so early. A lot of early 2-0, 3-0 counts, and Alexander doesn't have the velocity, the mustard on his stuff to be able to get back into counts and getting swings and misses. At that point, he's just throwing BP over the plate, and you saw guys take advantage of that a lot. And to get through 5, I thought was admirable enough. But I really thought I was like, all right, they're going to lose that game. Zach Eflin getting kind of shelled was kind of weird. That 6th inning, really what happened on opening day after the 6th inning was kind of odd. And that was the other thing that I was like, all right, they're not going to win games when they walk as many guys as they did in those 2 games. They walked, I think it was 7 guys after the 6th inning on opening day, and they walked 8 in Sunday's game. And you give that many free passes up, your odds are you're going to lose those games.
What did you think of Eric Savali on Friday night? Because I saw him, we got to see him a little bit last year, and I saw, good numbers, but when we saw him pitch, I said, he looks a little average to me. But against Toronto on Friday night, I saw more movement. He went through 6 strikeouts. How do you think he pitched that night?
Yeah, I was really impressed with him, Nick. I really thought that this is the Aaron Savali that the reason why they traded for him at the deadline last year. Is that's the pitcher that they had seen. And we talked about afterwards. There's a couple of guys that are working on one of those big giant sweepers, or as we used to call it back in the day, the Chaz Rowe Frisbee, where it starts out at a right-hander's hip and ends up in the left-hand batter's box. Eflin is working on one. He said his wasn't breaking, so he wasn't getting his to work. Savali got his to work, and you saw it firsthand in that game on Saturday. I thought that's a really, really devastating pitch when it's working, and hopefully he can have it working more often than not here this year.
Steve, it's interesting because I'm watching on Thursday's game, and Eflin looks great. I mean, through the first 5 or was it 6 innings, 5 innings, he would give it up 2 hits. He was fantastic.
Yeah.
So he gets to the third time through the order, right? And which is normally when Cash, especially with the first game of the season, you got a fresh bullpen, right? Normally, this is where Cash come and gets him, and everybody has a freaking apocalyptic meltdown. Right? Oh, he's pitching so good.
Oh my God!
Yeah. What are you doing? Coming to get him?
Reading the computer printout.
And it's like, now I'm like, why'd you leave him in? Third time through the order. You always take him out. What are you doing? You have a fresh bullpen. And he just absolutely melts down. So I think it's worth noting, right? So the next time we all lose our minds when somebody's pitching great, I'm not going to excuse the Blake Snell thing. It's not what I'm doing here. But I'm like, first day, get him the hell out of there. He pitched great, right? Third time through the order. Let's let the other guys get some work.
Yeah, I think a lot of what he's doing now is they've realized that they have burned their middle relief out, sometime like in the middle of June. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, these guys have already thrown, 35 to 50 innings at that point. And you're going, oh my God, we're going to kill these guys if we keep trotting them out there like this. So, he's trying to get guys 18 outs, especially the experienced starters. That's why you saw Eflin go out for a 6th. That's why you saw both Savali and Littell, who may be one of the most underrated pitchers, especially when it comes to efficiency. Holy Christ. I look at what Littell has done and the discovery of Littell. Remember, we got Littell for nothing. He was a waiver claim off the Red Sox roster. And all of a sudden they bring him in here as part of retooling the bullpen on the fly last year. And they went, this guy's really efficient. I wonder what would happen if we tried to stretch him out. And now they've stretched him out and they found themselves a really effective starting pitcher. And you're seeing those guys getting 18 outs. I think you're going to see those guys get 18 outs, especially early on as they try and save the bullets that they have to use from their middle relievers until a little later on when you're bringing guys in that are going to have pitch counts. The Bozes, the Rasmussens, the Springs.
Right.
You need those relievers at that point because you don't know what you're going to get out of those 3 guys.
And I know it was just a 4-game set, but I was really impressed of the new guys who came in. I was really impressed with Jose Caballero. I thought he added something, kind of all around. He had a really nice weekend. And even, he's a pot star too. He was able to get Genesis Cabrera to, throw hands at him and he's suspended for 3 games. So he's already a legend from that standpoint. But obviously we know, the elephant in the room with Wander. We don't know what's going to happen with that, but we know that's for the foreseeable future. He's not around, and Walls obviously is on the IL, but does it seem like for right now, they're going to give him every opportunity to be that everyday guy at shortstop? I don't see any other competition right now.
Yeah, it really, the way that they're using Ahmed Rosario, you're going to see Joey Cowboy at shortstop for the foreseeable future until Taylor Walls is ready to go. And you're right, he is a little bit of a pot stirrer. Now, bear in mind, I was talking with Xavier Scruggs, and he was like, well, Genesis Cabrera is a guy who's out of his bleeping mind anyway. So, there's a reason why the Rays traded him. He was in the Rays organization, and the Rays traded a starting pitcher for Tommy Pham. Along with other pieces. But, the Rays don't normally trade young starting pitching for nothing. And I'm not calling Tommy Pham nothing, but they give their starters every opportunity possible to do something for them. And for them to say, no, we're going to trade you and get a piece and get something for you instead, kind of is interesting. That should give people in baseball pause. But yeah, I really think that the way that Caballero has worked out, the way Ahmed Rosario has played right field, is certainly a surprise. I think Richie Palacios is going to get things going, but Rosario has just had the hotter start, so Cash is going to put him out there, and him being an experienced guy, Palacios, he's a very young guy, so give him an opportunity to try and get started, but you go with what's working right now, and Rosario was working really well in right field.
Yeah, he was, and that whole play. He drops down the bunt. Joey Cowboy, by the way, love that name. He drops down a great bunt, fantastic bunt, forces the play, run scores, and he gets. I don't know why he ran into the out of third base, but he didn't do anything. Like he just and then Genesis starts mouthing off, and then goes right for the throat. I mean, that was like completely
double pie face, which I
what
thought
the hell?
Was a great move. And I even said on social media, that's what gets guys hurt. That's what gets your teammates hurt. And I'm not saying that the Rays are going to throw at the Blue Jays, but when guys are running out to get on the field when the bench is clear, that's when guys get hurt in the pile. Anything can happen in the pile. Somebody's going to get hurt, and usually it's one of his teammates.
Yeah, and I was like, the manager's like, when the umps came over, I'm like, yeah, they're ejecting this guy. There's no question about it. And even the manager's like, yeah, that was our fault. That was him. What a knucklehead. Steve Carney joining us here as we kind of break down the Rays' first weekend. Anybody else catch your eye? I think, as I said in the open, the good thing is Randy's already going Oppo Taco for home runs, which shows he's locked in. Brandon Lau has a grand slam. When he's hot, he's hot. When he's cold, he's cold. So let's stay hot. So those are all good things. And I think the offense is those guys especially have got to be consistently good for this team to even keep their head above water in the first half. Agree?
Yeah, and don't forget about Yandy, a leadoff homer on opening day. He's gotten on, I believe, in every game so far this season. So that's another piece. The one surprise, the guy that we go, this could be interesting, is Ben Rortvedt. They go out and they trade for a catcher at the end of spring training. And I'd seen Rortvedt a little bit with the Twins, and then of course with the Yankees over the last couple of years. I was like, all right, this could be kind of interesting. And he hits lefty, so that's a piece that they needed. They needed a left-handed bat, especially from a catcher. They really didn't have anything after letting Francisco Mejia walk. And so I was like, all right, we got a left-handed bat. He seems to work the pitching staff pretty well. He's got a little bit of experience with some of them. I know he was teammates with Zach Littell, so that's a plus. But then the first thing you see is 108 off the bat, and he's got 2 hits already, and he hits the ball hard, which is something that you definitely want to see when he's at the plate. And I know the Rays have always said that the catching position is gravy when it comes to offense. They see it as a primarily defensive position. So if you get a bunch of home runs or you get offensive production from a catcher, that's just whipped cream on top of the sundae. But he's been a really interesting find, and I'm curious to see how much he gets used going forward, because he certainly has made a good first impression here.
And so tonight, obviously, the Rangers are coming in, tough series, and Ryan Pepio gets his first start as a Ray, and we saw him early in spring training. It seemed like he was struggling, but his last 2 starts, Steve, he found something clearly when he gives up 0 runs, I think, and 14 strikeouts in those 2 outings. I'm to believe, I guess, and I don't know if you've heard anything, that Kyle Snyder has worked with him clearly, and they have found something, right?
Yeah, they don't make trades like this for nothing, Nick. You're getting something back, and he's obviously going to be the big piece of the Glasnow trade, and unless Johnny DeLuca comes back from his broken hand and starts going gangbusters all over the league. You're right that, his last start in the final exhibition game at the Trop, going 6 innings and looking extremely strong. He's looked strong. His first couple of spring starts were kind of rough. I remember watching the first one down in Port Charlotte and going, okay, he's getting his work in. That's a good sign. But then seeing his last one at the Trop and going, all right, this is why they traded for this guy. This is what they see. And he was, I think he's got an opportunity here to really show Rays fans that it was okay to trade Tyler Glasnow, that not having to pay Tyler $25 million this year and getting him and able to get him a huge extension from somebody was a good thing, and something that this team can survive, just like they survived trading James Shields, just like they survived trading David Price, just like they survived trading Chris Archer, and I should say thrived by trading Chris Archer. But I just think that this is the next piece, and we're just keep moving on here. This is the trade tree continues to blossom, continues to bear fruit, and Ryan Pepio is just the latest example of it.
He's already doing the Glasnow stuff, though. He lit the Tesla coils last week. The Lightning
yes,
game, JP told me. I
Yep,
mean, he's got the lettuce growing
lettuce,
like Glasnow. I
Yep.
mean,
The Kentucky waterfall is strong with him. And I remember seeing Tyler Glasnow at Lightning games when he first came here. He would show up. I ran into him and Ryan Stanek when they were both members of the Rays. And it may have been like very early on in the season. It may have actually been a preseason game. So we're talking, early October. Right after the season ended, and all of a sudden I look up in the press box once, and sure enough, here come Ryan Stanek and Tyler Glasnow. You can't miss either of them.
No.
Glasnow didn't have the lettuce flow that he did later on, but he's 6'8". This guy's that big. Yeah, you don't miss them in a crowd. And Stanek had the waterfall, being from Arkansas, so it was easy to see both of those guys. But yeah, it's good to see him lighting the Tesla coils. Hopefully this becomes something he can become, that same sort of guy that Rays fans can look at and say, yep, he's our guy now. And they're going to get behind him. No problem.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of that championship flow rub off on you hanging out in Amalie Arena. No, that'll help you. No question about it. And I love the Rays. The Lightning putting up on their on the big board. Good luck to the Rays. We talk about the Rays all the time. I love when the two organizations certainly have a relationship and they support each other. The three organizations, really. You see it all throughout Tampa Bay. I love it.
It's hilarious, JP. I had this conversation with somebody yesterday about I think that Julian Brisebois, Eric Neander, and Jason Light have to be sitting down somewhere. Maybe they're having martinis at Bernini or whatever. But going, so how are you seeing, how do you discover these diamonds in the rough? Because it always seems like the Bucks find somebody, whether it was Scotty Miller a couple of years ago,
Shaq Barrett
or Rashad White. It's not all Mike Evans, even though Mike Evans is obviously a huge reason why the Bucks have had the success that they've had. And Julian Brisebois going and doing the Jedi mind tricks to get, the Duclairs and the Dumbas, two guys from teams that stink, and all of a sudden, here the Bolts are making their late season run. And of course, everything that Neander does. I wonder, like, if you were to sit the three of them down, how great would it be to see them, exchange their information of how they work and how they're able to find these diamonds in the rough. That would be something that I certainly would love to see.
Well, I actually did a roundtable with those three at the CEO lunch probably about 6 to 8 months ago. So I had all three of them there, and that's what we talked about. And of course, that was one of my first questions to them is like,
how the hell do you do this?
It's always great to, it's always great to land a Tom Brady. That's always, it's always nice to draft a Steven Stamkos, right? It's always nice to have a Shane McClanahan, but it's the other guys that really, are the secret sauce that help you win. It's the 4th round draft pick. It's the as you mentioned, for the Rays have found Zach Littell for nothing. It's those guys that really make you win and put you over the top, and it was always in hockey, it's always the 3rd and 4th line in the playoffs that do it for you, because the superstars usually kind of cancel each other out. So, and they all had, I thought, really interesting answers to that. And most of it is about culture. You go and you're not looking necessarily at, what's on the back of the baseball card, as you are what's inside and how they fit in your organization and what special skills they have that you can take advantage of and amplify. And I thought it was very interesting to hear all 3 of them talk about that.
Yeah, it's funny because I look at it and go, and I've been in all 3 of those locker rooms, and the Bucks not quite as recently as the other 2, but you go, how many a-holes do you see, sitting around here? And you don't see a whole lot. They are all about what goes on inside the room is as important, if not more important, as what goes out on the ice or on the field.
That's a great point, because you remember some of the bad teams and you can start ticking off the a-holes. It's right, the me guys.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah. That's why, it's why one of the things we talk about it all the time on this show is culture. And some people don't like that buzzword, but to me, it's definitely the secret sauce to winning championships. Every championship team I've ever covered has had a certain level, a different type of culture. Brady brought it in. Yep. The Lightning had it. And you see it when the Rays are winning at a high level. You see that camaraderie, and I haven't been in a clubhouse in years there. So I wanted to ask you this question. Are there any special personalities in there that you really, really like that are going to emerge? Like, we've seen Randy emerge in the past, couple of years with the World Baseball Classic. Who's the next guy that we're going to say, that's a fun dude? That's a really fun dude.
I call him Joey Cowboy for a reason. Caballero is an interesting character. They've got him set up in the front of the clubhouse, like right when you come in. So I have a feeling there are going to be a lot of reporters that just stop and chat with him. Like, I could have told you back in the day that Stephen Vogt was going to be a manager, because in Port Charlotte, they put him right at the front, at the entrance of the clubhouse. And there were a lot of guys, myself included, that just stopped there and spent the entire availability hanging out with him and finding out what's going on in that clubhouse by talking to him. And so I really do think that Caballero is an interesting guy. And I think that could be very, very, he'd be a fun addition. As Nick said, he's a pot, he can be a little bit of a pot stirrer, which isn't a bad thing. No. He gets under guys' skin, and I certainly think that having him at the bottom of the order doing that and getting pitchers distracted from Yandy Diaz at the top of the order is not a bad thing.
Like Siri's that guy too, though. I mean, even when they had the little necklace they gave out Sunday, and then I saw him speak with Trisha, and it looks like his English is improving too.
His English is fine. It's funny. He came in on opening day. He had a giant Bone Thugs in Harmony vest on, which was I thought was hilarious. But like big white, like you couldn't miss. Oh, you can't miss Jose Siri normally. And then he comes in with this giant Bone Thugs in Harmony vest, and I was like, oh, now the party can start.
I'm honest to say, I have no idea what that is. I have
Bone Thugs in Harmony is a hip hop group from the 90s. They did that song "See You at the Crossroads," but it was, they're an interesting group, but it was just hilarious to see him come in with this giant, like, it was like he's got a different sense of style, that's for sure. He dances to his own drum.
Love it. All right, Steve, promote the podcast, Under the Orange Roof podcast, and everything else you got going.
Yeah, absolutely. stpete9.com is where you find everything Tampa Bay Rays Under the Orange Roof podcast. Had to take a little bit of a break because of spring training. I had a lot of spring training games. And so, but we're getting that kicked back off here this week. So should be a good time for sure. stpete9.com. You find it all.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right, boys. Be good.
Rays and Rangers tonight. Then they go out on the road. So I'm taking off for Colorado tomorrow. I'll be doing my shows at least Wednesday through Friday out there. Tomorrow I will be traveling. So Tim will be handling the show tomorrow, hopefully with our usual guests. We'll get that all stated for you. So guess where the Rays are on Saturday and Sunday?
I was just looking it up. I'm like, I feel like they're in Colorado, no?
They are.
The Rockies
So,
season opener.
yeah. So I don't know if we're going to be able to catch a game. I don't know if I want to give up a day of skiing to catch a game, but we'll see.
There'll be plenty of tickets available, I'm sure, for the Rockies.
Yeah. Good seats, very available, but we won't go opening day, obviously, but maybe Sunday, maybe Saturday night. I don't know, because I've been to Coors Field a few times, and that is a great stadium. That is one of the classic old style ball yards. Great lower downtown Lodo, they call it there in lower Denver. That is one of the great examples of building a ballpark that completely revitalized an area of town. I mean, lower downtown was an absolute slum, a bunch of empty warehouses from the 40s and 50s, and they put Coors Field there, and it just absolutely transformed the entire area. And now you've got $1 million lofts and everything else around that area. It's really the place to be, especially when the Rockies are good.
Yeah, it's a shame the product. They lost 16-1 on opening day. And it was like, well, the Rockies, the season's over for the Rockies. It's over.
Oof. Yeah. They've they had some really good teams though over the years when they had Dante Bichette and Walker and that whole group. Those are some really good
07 team. They don't even try anymore though. I can feel like they don't try. They never have top prospects. You ever hear about that Rockies top prospect? No, you never hear it. But they always stink. What's going on over there?
Well, they would draw 3 million fans a year, because they draw from all over. I mean, they're just they're the only major league team within 750 miles. They draw like incredibly well, but you got to have some product. And maybe that's what happens is teams get lazy. Teams like that get lazy. They make money. People come to the ball yard anyway, just because you're the only game in town, basically. But I think that's changing now. When you're so bad for so long, it gets a little old. So, well, not exactly sure how much longer they can sustain that, but all right. But might get some of my money on Sunday. We'll see. But because it is a great ballpark.
It's only $14 to go. I just looked, by the way.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side, talk a little Bucks football as they get ready for the draft. They're welcoming in some guys on official visits now, and get into a little bit of March Madness. How about this Wolfpack run? This is fun. And the biggest game of the night coming up. We'll tell you all about that when we come back. We're brought to you by the great folks at Extravaganza Productions. Paul Thomason and Dolly Brown and the whole team over there will take care of business for you. You can get a free creative meeting. If you just mentioned you heard it on the JP Peterson show, go to their website, extravaganzaproductions.com. If you have a charity event coming up, maybe you've done it for a lot of different years, you want to spice it up, you're out of ideas, head on over there. They got great ideas, and they've got a warehouse full of props that you can use to create a spectacular theme. There's so many things they can do, and they are the best in the business, by the way, but a great value. They know what they're doing. You can trust them to give you a great party, a great gathering, and they'll do it for a great price as well. Extravaganzaproductions.com. Go there to the website and contact them through there and get your free creative meeting. Back in 3. Stay with us. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just
get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on TrueBody and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Did you know Steve Weintraub founded the Gold and Diamond Source over 40 years ago by selling gold-plated sand dollars? And to celebrate, the Gold and Diamond Source is selling gold sand dollar jewelry with the proceeds supporting Julie and Steve Weintraub's foundation, Hands Across the Bay. Yes, in 1984, Steve opened their first location, expanded to 9 stores as far as Atlanta, but now they've consolidated all that inventory under one roof, becoming one of the largest family-owned fine jewelry stores in the country. Julie, of course, joined forces with her husband 20 years ago, and they're going to celebrate by offering up to 40% off select jewelry items. Plus, with gold prices near all-time highs, it's the perfect time to trade in your broken or unworn pieces for something new and stunning. Unlock the value in your jewelry box today at the Gold and Diamond Source. It's always one place, and it's always a great place. The Gold and Diamond Source celebrating their 40th anniversary, 3800 Olmerton Road. Always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
This is The Strike. 102.5 WHPT, HD2 Sarasota, Tampa, St. Pete.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this Monday as the first week of baseball is over. The first weekend of baseball is over. We're into March Madness now, into the Final Four. Great story going on there. We'll get into that. We'll talk some Bucks here and some ladies basketball tonight. Nick Geddes from On3 Sports joining me here. How about that game? You ready for this one?
I can't wait. I legitimately cannot wait.
Yeah, so I gotta work the Lightning Red Wings game tonight, but we'll definitely be watching. We will be watching Iowa LSU rematch of last year's title game. Caitlin Clark against Angel Reese and the whole LSU team, which is really, really talented team. I think 2 of the top 5 NIL players in the tournament are from LSU, the women's team. The top 3 are women in NIL money. How about that?
Yeah, and I think this has a chance to potentially be the highest rated, highest viewed women's basketball game of all time. I think that's what we're going to push tonight.
I think that's going to happen because you think about it, like what else? I mean, they're not going up against any football. I can't think about
unless Dwayne is going to steal some ratings on Monday Night Raw tonight.
That's true. I forgot about that.
It's the go home show to WrestleMania. I mean, and Dwayne's going to be there, so you don't know.
I forgot about that. My bad. I didn't. I was only talking about sports television.
Oh, here we go.
I wasn't thinking of entertainment television. Is there another season of the Dragons on as well tonight? I don't know. I got to check all the rest of the competition. I was
the Big Bang Theory's
talking
on
about
day,
real sports.
Yeah.
But no, that's going to be big, right? That's going to take a lot of eyeballs.
Yeah, in my world. But I'm going to have so many TVs tonight. I forgot that you just reminded me the Lightning are playing tonight. It's like,
yeah, I'm
like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have 4 things going tonight. I got the women's basketball game, LSU and Iowa. I'm going to have Raw for my sake. I got to watch Ryan Pepio's start. At least his is a little bit early. So I'll get that one out of the way earlier. And then the Lightning are going to play as well. I'm going to be, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's a big night. Lots of good stuff to watch. Well, and Caitlin Clark, I was watching her the other day, man. If you haven't watched her play, she's so good at, you think, because all you ever see on SportsCenter are the logo threes.
Right.
She's got a great mid-range game. She can take it to the hoop and score with either hand. And she knows when to do so. When players are up on her or double teaming her, she can get rid of the ball and then moves well without the ball to get it back. She's just so technically great. And I love watching her play because she's such a smart basketball player. And then the LSU team is just ridiculously talented. Angel Reese, who's the other girl that they have that's trying to remember her name?
No, I want to get her name right because she's been like their best player.
Yeah.
Because it's like Flo. Is it Flo J something, right?
Yeah.
I want to get the name right here. Let me get it.
Really talented because they beat a very good
Flo J.
UCLA
Johnson.
team.
Flo J. Johnson.
They beat a really good UCLA team that was big and strong. And, I think I've watched more of the women's tournament than I have the men's tournament.
Yeah, I got to be honest. As we've gotten later into the men's tournament, like, I'm always into it for like the round of 64, when it starts. As we've gotten later into it, and I know it's like the really good teams are here and I should be into it, but it's been like UConn. You saw what they did to Illinois? I mean, they were up by like 30 at one point. It was crazy. Like UConn's just like vaporizing everybody. Duke
just so damn
Duke
good.
went far, but Duke's offense was horrible the entire tournament. I have no idea how in the world they even got that far. And then against NC State yesterday, they had nothing for them. DJ Burns is really the only thing keeping us going in that tournament. And I guess
DJ and he's awesome. I mean, the dude is just he's just a complete show by himself. He had 29 yesterday, 21 in the second half. And as Seth Greenberg pointed out, and I was watching the game, I'm like, when are they going to double team this guy? Like, at what point is Shire going to double team this guy? I mean, that's coaching malfeasance. I mean, at some point, I mean, look, I know NC State's been playing one, and the guy passes really well out of the double. He's a really, really good player, super smart player, has a great feel for the game. He's got old school post moves, bro. He's breaking out the hook shot, the underneath shot, the little bit of the floater. I mean, he's left-handed. He's got a great stroke. I mean, this guy's super talented. I mean, he went to Winthrop. He came from Winthrop a couple of years ago, but he has just exploded on the scene. And NC State shot 73% in the second half and scored 55 points. They were down by 6 at half. Outscored Duke 31-11 over a 12-minute stretch. I mean, that's just I was surprised at how bad Duke was offensively and defensively and didn't make any real good adjustments.
Yeah. I feel like if you're not a UConn, Alabama, or Purdue fan, obviously, like, how are you not rooting for NC State? And beyond DJ Burns being the story of the tournament, it's like, what, the 40th anniversary of the 1983 NC State team, right?
Yeah, 41st, however you want to count it. Yeah.
Yeah, what, at 2020, it was 1983, right?
Yeah.
This is the 2023 team. So it's the 40th year anniversary. I don't know much about that team, but I know everybody, remembers that one fondly. Like, I remember, weren't they like a cardiac crew, if I'm not mistaken?
Oh yeah.
Like,
it was the same thing. They had to win the ACC tournament to get into the NCAA tournament, and they did. But back then, I think they won 4 games in a row. They had to win 5. This NC State team did. They had to get in the tournament, and there was a game in '83 where that they won at the buzzer in the ACC tournament, or they don't even get in. And same thing here with Virginia. NC State doesn't win. I think it was Virginia in that game that they won to get into the tournament, and now here they are, just in the Final Four. It's crazy. This run is bonkers. But hey, we need it. They need it because. UConn is chalk, and they're just so freaking good. And I just don't see how. I mean, how do you go on a 30-0 run again? In the Elite Eight against a good team, the Illini, a third-seeded team. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy good. That's men against boys. And then watching Purdue. Purdue is Zach Edey he's just a force, man. He's a force, and they play so solidly well. Although at the end of the game yesterday, for like 3 possessions in the row in the last 3 minutes, they had Edey picking at the top of the key. I'm like, and I know that's part of their offense, but and they weren't getting it to him on the block. And the last 3 possessions they finally did. But when the offense goes through that 7'5" massive human being, they're playing really good. I mean, it looks like those are the 2 teams I think that are in.
Yeah.
So who plays who? So.
Yeah, it's going to be UConn and Bama, and then Purdue and NC State.
Yeah. Okay. So,
and Bama can score. Bama can score with anybody. That's going to be. I mean, it's hard to say I'm picking Alabama to upset UConn, but I know Bama's offense. They can put up points with anybody, but UConn's a different animal, clearly.
Yeah. So it's probably going to be Purdue and UConn. I
mean, heavyweight fight.
Yeah.
I mean, the fun thing would be UConn and NC State, though. I mean, you get the heavyweight, and then you get the team that everybody in America would be kind of rooting for. I think that'd be kind of cool. But again, if you're just a fan of the sport and you don't care about those things, you probably want to see UConn and Purdue and get that heavyweight because those were the two best teams along with Houston all year long.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Okay, some other things we wanted to get to. So that's and Caitlin Clark tonight, Angel Reese. That's a 7:00 one as well. And the UConn women are still in it as well, right? They're still in it. And
yeah, not to be undersold, but Paige Buchers has been phenomenal in this entire tournament. So
yeah, and they're South Carolina, Dawn Staley. They're 36-0 now, or 39-0, some ridiculous number. 36-0. So that's going to be interesting to see how the women finish out as well.
And that's the difference in the women is all those teams we just mentioned. It seems like it's those four. UConn has Paige Buchers and Gino Ariam and all the history. And then South Carolina has Dawn Staley. She's kind of the face of that operation. And then you have LSU. It's like star-studded like crazy. And then Caitlin Clark at Iowa. It's like those four teams all have like an identifiable brand kind of. You know what I mean? Or a face of it. Whereas the men's side, it's like none of them really have that like, you know what I mean? They don't really have that brand or that face. Like who's the face of UConn? Like we don't really talk about that really. It's kind of the difference why there's been so much like interest in what the women are doing.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting. I would think that game tonight is going to get bigger ratings certainly than the Lightning game. It'll get not in Tampa. I think the Lightning will probably Lightning going up against the Rays. I wonder what the numbers are going to be there. Usually the Rays get more viewers. Will get them. Yeah. I'll be up. I'll see if I can get the ratings report in a couple of days and see how that shit. Because this is a big game for the Lightning. They're red hot. And for the Red Wings, it's almost a must win for them at this point. They have to. So this, I think it's going to be an intense game tonight. And then, I thought, we talked about going into the Islanders game. Chief and I were doing a post game show, and I said, these are the games, after you get the big win over the Bruins, those are obviously going to bring out the best. But the Islanders, them in kind of scuffling a little bit. And you're like, okay, do you get up for a team like that? Do you stay playing at that high level? And of course, the Lightning did. I mean, they came out in that first period. It may have been the best period they played all year. So you're like, this is what you want to see. Don't play down to the competition. Come out with your best effort against the Islanders, and that's what they did. And I think you'll see the same thing tonight from the Lightning against the Red Wings. This is going to be an intense hockey game tonight. I think it's going to be very, as all these games really are at this point, it's going to be a playoff type atmosphere. So I really look forward to the intensity of this game, and I want to watch Pepio tonight. That's going to be interesting. What time do they get started? 6:50.
6:50, yeah.
Yeah.
New start times are 6:50.
And then LSU Iowa at 7:00. Yeah, it's at least for me. I've got three things I got to watch tonight. I won't be tuning into Raw, much as maybe you will be.
Oh.
All right, we'll take a quick break. I want to come back on the other side, talk a little Bucks draft. If you guys want to get into that a little bit, there's so much around the mock drafts now, and I don't think there's been a year where it's been less obvious where the Bucks are going. I mean, I've seen mock drafts. I maybe seen 10 or 15 different players going to the Bucks, which I think is interesting. So we'll hit that when we come back here on the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. If you are in the market for some homeowners insurance, your insurance keeps going up, well, let them shop it around. You never know. They might be able to find somebody cheaper for you instead of just keep paying the same rates and watching them go up and up. Let them do the work. You save all the money. And by the way, great customer service at Italiano Insurance. They have been fantastic. I have my auto insurance with them. They will help you not only find a great provider, but if you have some issues with that provider, they'll help you with that as well. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. Back in 3. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man, Scott Jeeves. If you're going to hire an attorney, do you want some guy looking for a quick settlement and a quick buck, or do you want an attorney with some chops? Scott is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator. Been practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. He is a peer-reviewed AV preeminent-rated civil trial lawyer. They just don't hand out those classifications. He's been the lead class action counsel on many complex consumer protection cases and has handled hundreds of serious personal injury cases. He's dedicated his career to protecting injured victims and is committed to vigorously representing you. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. Personal injury and personal attention. Call for a free case evaluation. That's 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. The Jeeves Law Group. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on a Monday as we are moving dangerously close to the NFL Draft coming up April 25th. It's April Fool's Day. Happy April Fool's Day. The Bucs have moved up to number 1. You know what? There was an April Fool. I thought it might be April Fool's, but it actually was for real. I retweeted it this morning. PFF asked, who's the best
I did see this
wide receiver of since 2010. And they have Antonio Brown, Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, or other. Who's the only guy with 10? Is it 10 now or 11? 10 1,000-yard seasons. 10 1,000 yard. I don't see him on here.
No, no, you don't see him.
When did Calvin Johnson retire? Like 2014, 2015? Hasn't he been out of the league for?
He hasn't played in a while. I know that. I don't know. 10 1,000-yard seasons for Mike Evans. Only 5 for Devontae Adams, who is older than Mike Evans. I'm just putting it out there. They were drafted in the same year, and Mike Evans has double the amount of 1,000-yard seasons as Devontae Adams.
That's bananas. I was like, yeah, post that up on your in his locker immediately and keep it up there for the entire year. Like last week, Kevin Weeks did his top 10 goalies right now. Top 10. Right. Top 10. No Vassie.
Right. And listen, if he's if he's just going off of this year, but you said right now implies right now. And I gave you the numbers of Vasilevsky right now over the last week or two. Did I not?
You did.
So I don't know. I'm like, Kevin, you know better. You know better than that.
It's non-football season, so we have all these silly things that people are putting out there to get clicks and get a debate.
But we are getting close to the draft, and you said it's been a wild card, I guess, of who the Bucs are going to pick, what position they're going to pick. As we get closer, they're starting visits. I know Pewter Report wrote one that Keon Coleman, your boy from Florida State, is going to visit with the Bucks. They seem to like him a lot.
I've seen him mocked to the Bucks at least once. And I ran into somebody the other day who knows him well. And I was very interested to because I had heard from our guys up at FSU that he was a little soft. And I think there were some people there that weren't really, once he came out of the blocks having a tremendous season. I mean, obviously from the LSU game, but late in the season, he kind of faded.
I think he was banged. He was banged up though. He wasn't practicing like a lot before the game. So I think that played a part.
I'm not going to knock him too much for that. And then the person I talked to, I was kind of like, is he soft? Is he soft? He's like, no, man. The guy grew up on the hard streets in Louisiana. He's a tough kid, and he'll come at you. You knock him down, he's coming back harder. So I that was good to hear. He's certainly got the talent. His hands are, incredible. But he really, if I was going to find a comp for him, it would be Mike Evans or Vincent Jackson.
He's that guy that goes up and gets it for sure.
Yeah. A guy with great hands. I think he's already a better route runner than maybe Mike Evans is not a great route runner. Let's just be honest about that. That's
he's got
not
a lot better. Got a lot better.
Yeah, he's gotten a ton better. No question about it. You can't put up the numbers he's put up, would not be at least a very capable route runner. But I'm talking at the elite level, like some of these.
He's not as shifty as some of these other guys.
No. It's because of his size. He has the unbelievable catch radius, and he's a great deep ball threat as well. And I don't think he gets enough credit from people like you for his deep ball abilities. But I think I think the Bucks could go anywhere. It was interesting. Joe Bucks fan had an article. Rick Spielman was talking about some guys that he thought might fall, and he had Brock Bowers as one of them, and the Georgia tight end, and then the UCLA edge rusher, Leatu. Is that Leatu Latu? Leatu Latu. Yeah. Now, tell you what, either one of those guys start falling. Yeah.
Latu would be a dream for me. I'm praying. I mean, that I in my personal opinion, I think Latu has the highest ceiling of any pass rusher in the draft, including Dallas Turner, including Jared Verse. And I know why he's falling is because of his injury history. He medically retired from football, and then he came back, transferred to UCLA, and became a great player. So I thought was interesting is this. I was reading these draft notes yesterday morning that Matt Miller and Jordan Reed dropped, who covered the draft for ESPN. This was interesting. So Jackson Powers Johnson, we've been hearing, okay, he's going to be a top 20 pick. He's not going to be there when the Bucks pick. Matt Miller wrote in his notes here that after speaking with teams, the feedback he's received is might go in the first round, it's unlikely he will be selected in the top 25 picks based where teams are ranking him. Now, I know a little bit of math. The Bucks ranked their pick number 26. And on the flip side, Graham Barton, who's constantly been mocked to the Bucks, some evaluators, and this is from Reed's notes, had Barton inside their top 15, pointing to a lack of versatile interior blockers in this draft. So those are the trends, according to Matt Miller and Jordan Reed right now, and those two guys who obviously the Bucks would like to have either one of them.
Yeah, if they can land either one of them, or I've also heard Jared Verse stock dropping as well. Which if he got to even close to 26,
if you're a Bucks fan, you just want all the quarterback. You want 6 quarterbacks to go in the first round,
and I think
you want
that happens.
You want 6 O tackles. You want like 8 receivers. You want all those guys to go in the first round.
And I think there's a lot of momentum for it. I think 6 quarterbacks go before the Bucks pick. I really do. I think Penix, Bo Nix, and JJ McCarthy. Yeah. I think they're all going.
I think
they're all
20.
going.
Yeah.
Yep. And so that leaves a lot of good position players falling down the board to the Bucks. So, and I think there's probably 2 of those guys that we just mentioned are going to be available there. That Jason Light makes a moves up to maybe 22, 23, maybe even into the top 20 and gets his guy. And that's going to be a starter that they'll have in the interior line or on the edge for hopefully 5-6 years, even longer to come. So the way the draft is flowing right now, the more quarterbacks, like you say, offensive tackles, wide receivers to some degree. I mean, I think the Bucs, if there's a guy there, if Keon Coleman is there, if there's somebody there that they really like, I think they could pull the trigger, and I don't think it's a horrible idea. And I really don't think it's a horrible idea. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more hockey with Eric Erlinson, who will join us on this game day as the Bolts get set to take on the Red Wings, who have been trailing them for a few weeks now, and it's a must-win for Detroit. Quick break, back in 3. Stay with us. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance. Start the new year with a new diamond from the Gold and Diamond Source. It's still engagement season. Where better to get that special ring than the Gold and Diamond Source? Of course, I just got mine there. I'm engaged. You should do the same thing. Let's go. Gold and Diamond Source has the largest selection of engagement rings in the country. A literal jewelry superstore with 30 times the inventory of any normal jeweler. And if you have a loved one or a special person in your life who has a birthday this month, maybe you have an anniversary coming up, you can get 15% off the January birthstone, which is garnet, as in garnet and gold for all your Seminoles. Celebrate that mythical national championship. And it's the Gold and Diamond Source's 40th anniversary. For the past 40 years, they have taken pride in offering only natural diamonds formed over billions of years from the Earth's incredible forces. And gold prices are at an all-time high. Now's your chance to turn your jewelry box into a cash machine. It's the perfect time to trade in your broken or unworn pieces for something new and stunning. It's the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Almerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Hydrate Heroes. I have my shaker bottle right here. Of course, we announced them as our new presenting sponsor. That's officially going to start next week. But our big thanks to Hydrate Heroes. Had a great remote out there at Airfest on Friday out at McDill. That was incredible. Saw that B-2 bomber, among other things, and the Thunderbirds. Amazing stuff out there. Hope you caught some of that. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Eric Erlinson from lightninginsider.com, the best Bolts website out there. What's up, Double E's? How are you, my friend?
I'm good, JP. What's going on, man?
Well, thanks for pinch hitting for me on Saturday night. It was gendered equity night, so I wasn't doing my normal stuff, and you pinch hit for me on the post game show. So thank you very much for doing that. I'm sure it was a much better show. So,
hey, big shoes to fill, always.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you doing it. This is I mean, it's not shocking to me. I think to many, it might be shocking, this 8-0-1 run, but there were times of the season where I was like, I don't know if they're going to find it, but they sure have. And this 8-0-1 run has been spectacular. We could just be real lazy and go, it's just about Vassie, and it probably pretty much is for the most part. But what has it been? What has it been for you?
Well, he's a big part of it. There's no doubt. You look at his numbers during this stretch, and he started all but one of the games. He's been fantastic. You look at the game against Florida and the 50 saves that he made against the Panthers, and really was able to hold the fort as the Panthers were pushing, even though the Lightning had a 4-0 lead in that game. But even go back to Saturday's game against the Islanders. Dominant first period. He didn't have to do much. He only faced 6 shots. The Islanders pushed in the second, and they had some really good chances, and he stood tall. And that's what you've expected to see out of him through the years, is making those type of saves. But there is more to it for sure. First, I think the energy and everything else that Anthony Duclair and Matt Dumba have brought have injected some blood a little bit, so to speak, into that room.
Mm-hmm.
I think Duclair, sitting in the top 6 now, really balances out the lines as they at the best point as they have at all during the season. But the biggest thing besides the goaltending is just their attention to details. It's the play in the defensive zone. You're not seeing too many of the wide open chances in front. There's been a couple here and there for sure. Bruins scored one the other night. The Islanders had a chance the other night. Teams are going to get those opportunities, but they've cut way down on those because of their attention to being in the right spot, to their compete level. To me, the compete level is the one thing in this game you can control. How hard are you going to compete for that puck against the wall? How hard are you going to fight to get to the spot in front of the net? How hard are you going to fight to get in the shooting lane to block that shot? Those are the things that this team is doing much better right now than they have at any other part of the season. And it's at the right time of the year to kind of make sure you put yourself into position. And now it's just a matter of numbers before they clinch that playoff spot.
Yeah, and it feels like one of the other things too. We've talked so much about Nikita Kucherov because of the season he's had, and I thought Braden Point was having a good year. I didn't think it was up to the level he had last year, but you look over the last 20 games and you go back to the past 18 in particular. He's got 17 goals and 27 points. He's been on just this heater for the last month or so, and he leads the league with 11 game-winning goals. It feels like every one that he has, it's a big one, and I think his play also has probably contributed to this as well.
He's a clutch player. There's no doubt. Just look at his playoff performances, the 2 years that they won the cup, and the timely goals that he scored. And there's that famous meme of the Islanders fan in the stands going, "It's Braden Point" every time. And it kind of matches to exactly kind of how he's playing right now. And like the one thing I see from Braden that maybe we didn't see earlier in the year is he's got more of an attack mentality when he has a puck on his stick. His skating backs defenders off. And when he's pushing that paint and he's taking the puck to the net and driving defensemen back, that's when Braden Point is attacking. And, his goal he had the 6-point night he had against the Rangers with the hat trick. There was one play in that game where he just took it straight to the net and he was rewarded for it. It ended up being a huge goal in that game. Those are the moments that we're used to seeing from Braden Point. And it's when he has that mentality of, you're not going to stop me. I'm going to attack you. And that's been working for him.
Yeah, very, very Connor McDavid-ish when he gets in that mode. And I think he can do that more. I think obviously when you have Kucherov out there, you kind of want to put yourself in position to make a play. That's where you're going to get most of your points. But there are times when you just need to be selfish and take it to the net, right? Just take it to the net because he's got the ability to do so. Does playing with Kucherov, you think, sometimes maybe take that a little bit away from him? I mean, it would be only natural because, he's going to set you up more times than not.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Certainly when you play with Kucherov, there are certain elements of your game that maybe you think too unselfishly and try and feed him a puck because he's such a great playmaker. But yeah, obviously with the way that he can attack the net. I mean, go back to last season, 50-goal year. Obviously, he still has an outside shot at even reaching that mark. That's Kucherov. But the 2 goals that you think about with Braden Point last year was the one he scored against the Kraken, where he danced through 4 people and flipped a magnificent backhand shot. I mean, that was attacking the defense, and he did it a few games later against Montreal. The same sort of mentality. Sometimes you have to be a little selfish because you have that ability in you. Not only is he fast, obviously the straight line speed is one thing. He's shifty, right? He can move back and forth, so easily, so fluidly. It just, you shake defenders that way. You catch them leaning one way or the other because they don't know how to read you. And that's such a big strength of his that, we probably maybe didn't see it as much early in the season, but it's certainly in his game plan right now.
Eric Erlinson joining us here from lightninginsider.com. We talked a lot about Duclair, maybe not enough about Dumba. What has he brought to the table on the ice and off the ice that you've seen that has made such a difference?
Well, you talk to anybody on the team, the coaching staff, the players in the locker room, the energy that he's brought to that locker room, inject a little bit of life in that room. And, the guys have talked about, you lose a Pat Maroon, you lose a Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, a Corey Perry, a Ryan McDonough, some of these Alex Killorn, some of these voices that just keep things a little lively in there. Like everybody needs an Andre Waugh in their locker room. And not that Matt Dumba is Andre Waugh in terms of how funny he is, but he has that sense about him and he has a feel for the locker room. So it was noticeable the moment he stepped in there. So that's a big thing that Matt Dumba has brought. The other thing, he is rejuvenated. He was in Arizona this year after all those years in Minnesota. And the Coyotes, I think, went through a 13-game winless stretch. That's hard. That's hard to do for players, right? Because the Coyotes were kind of in the mix there for a long period of time. And then they hit that month-long skid and the season's over. So he's come from that situation here. He's rejuvenated in terms of the way he plays. His physicality, I think, is a big thing. You look at, he can line guys up and he will stand up for teammates and he'll do all that stuff. But it's the type of hits that he delivers, I think, brings that to the ice. And I think his strength too, one of his strengths is his first pass out of the zone. It's such an underrated part of a defenseman's game to be able to get that puck out of trouble, get away from pressure, and start your transition game. He does it very well. He's playing the left side. It's an unnatural position for him for the most part since he's been here. We don't see too many righties play the left side, but he's embraced it. He wants to do whatever he can to help the team, and that certainly helps too.
I don't know if Tanner Jeannot is ever going to reach that 24-goal plateau again like he did his rookie year in Nashville. And probably doesn't need to on this team. But since he's been back in the 6 games, it seems like, he's been noticeable out there. I mean, he got into, obviously the big highlight was the fight last week against Trent Frederick, where he just clocked him with one hit and that was it. Right. But just speak to his impact. What have you seen from him since he's come back in there and the difference in their play?
Well, I can tell you one thing that's very noticeable outside of the fight he had. There was a play, I don't know if it was the Bruins game or the Islanders game, but he went on the forecheck, and the defenseman, as soon as he looked over his shoulder and saw it was 84 coming his way, he couldn't get out of the way fast enough. Like, he just danced the puck. He barely made a play on the puck. I mean, you don't think about those things, but that's what a Tanner Jeannot can do. He's physical. You look, he's among the hit leaders on this team. I believe he was in, top 10 in the league before he got injured the first time. And, it's that presence. So not only does he make guys think twice about maybe taking liberties because they know Jeannot can do what Jeannot does, but it's that other part of being physical that players notice, right? And it's if that guy is wearing down on you 10, 12 minutes a game and he's delivering that type of punishment, it's hard physically and it's hard mentally. And that's the type of play that a Tanner Jeannot can do. Yeah, goals. Everybody wants to score goals. He had some time on the number 2 power play early in the year. So he has that ability within his game, but it is the physical part and the presence. And, Brian Engblom says it all the time. Intimidation is part of this game.
Yeah.
Tanner Jeannot is an intimidating man.
Eric Erlinson joining us here. And I'm looking at the standings right now. Here comes Detroit tonight. They're 2 games out of the second wild card, which is now Philadelphia. But none of these teams that are in the hunt are playing well. Philadelphia is 3-5-2 in their last 10. The Wings are 3-5-2 in their last 10. The Islanders are 2-7-1. You have to go back down to New Jersey, who's 5-5, and Pittsburgh 4-3-3 to get anybody that's even on the close to the plus side. So these teams aren't necessarily making a rush, but that underscores tonight even more for Detroit. This is an absolute must-win playoff game for them tonight. And if the Lightning come out and play like they did against the Islanders the first period, which I thought was one of their better periods of the year, this should be one hell of a game tonight on a Monday night. Your thoughts on this matchup?
For sure. I mean, you look at the way the Red Wings play the Panthers on Saturday. They get that game to overtime and get the point. They couldn't get the second point. They had a power play opportunity in overtime, couldn't finish that off. End up only getting 1 point in the shootout. But in a lot of ways, this almost is their season tonight, because guess what the other game is? The Islanders play the Flyers tonight. And, one of those two teams is getting 2 points. One of those two teams is getting 2 points in the standings. And if Detroit doesn't get two, that pretty much is going to end their season and their opportunity to kind of catch it. Anything can happen, 7, 8 games left. But, the Red Wings have played one more game than I think every one of those other teams sort of in that race. So, yeah, their desperation level is going to be high. Their compete level should be high. The Lightning have to match it. If they can play the first period like they did against the Islanders, who were in a desperate situation themselves, then you can take care of business. And then the math for Tampa Bay really gets close, because this is a 4-point swing. Detroit is at 19 in the standings. I think the magic number for Tampa Bay is 7. So a 4-point game tonight drops that to 3, and then the math really becomes Tampa Bay's favor.
Hey, real quick, Eric, am I being April Fool's joked when I saw this? Is Kyle Conan really the emergency backup or the backup goaltender for the Lightning tonight? Am I reading this?
It's trending that way. Jonas Johansson has a lower body injury. We didn't see Jonas's stuff in the locker room when we came off. We talked to Kyle Conan. It sounds like he's going to dress that. It's not set in stone. It's not definite. There's a chance that Johansson can still dress for tonight's game. But yeah, Kyle Conan, it's not an April Fool's joke. Even he said to the trainer that, hey, this better not be a joke or I'm not coming back, because he has been the E-Bug for a couple of years here. He's actually dressed for a game for St. Louis two or 3 years ago. So yeah, if things are trending the way they are right now, Kyle Conan will be your backup tonight.
Yikes. Okay. All right. We'll see how that goes down tonight. And as we look ahead right now, is it pretty much a certainty that it's the Bolts and the Bruins in round 1? I'm not going to say a certainty, but is that what it's trending as right now?
Well, there's really the top 4 teams, the top 2 teams in the Atlantic, Florida and Boston, the top 2 teams in the Metro. The Rangers and Carolina are all, I think, within 4 points of each other, 2 points of each other, somewhere in that range. Yeah, so anything can happen over the next couple of weeks, right? It's almost for sure going to be one of those 4 teams. Either you're crossing over in the Metro or you're staying in the Atlantic and facing one of the top 2 teams. So just something to keep an eye on, certainly over the last couple of weeks. But, as I've been saying here for all along, if you're the Lightning, you take care of yourself and let everything else fall into place and deal with it then. Yeah.
Well, hell, they're only 4 points behind Toronto. They've got 2 games with them, right?
Yeah, they play Toronto on Wednesday. They're in Toronto on Wednesday. And then the Leafs are here for the final regular season game.
That could be for third place.
Is a possibility too. And if you're third, it's still either the Panthers or the Bruins.
I think we know who we would rather play, right?
Yes. I know who I'd want to avoid. I can tell you that. I want to
That's
avoid
the Panthers, right?
I want nothing to do with that team right now. The way that the last 2 games that the Panthers have played against the Lightning and the way that they forecheck them, that would be a difficult 7-game matchup.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Well, I tell you what, we got 9 games to go, and including one good one tonight. It's going to be fantastic. Looking forward to it. God, there's so much to watch tonight. I'm going to have one eye on the Lightning here, doing my job. We got a great women's basketball game tonight, and we got Eric's going to be Nick's going to be watching Monday Night Raw. And we got the Rays as well. So there's a lot going on tonight, but we'll be there at the Emily Arena. Eric, tell everybody how they can get lightninginsider.com and all your content.
Yeah, first of all, I'm sorry I'm going to miss that Iowa LSU game. That should be a lot of fun. lightninginsider.com is the website. Yearly plan, monthly plan, that's the way to sign up. Of course, you can catch me on the Lightning broadcast too on the pregame and intermission and postgame as well. But lightninginsider.com is the website.
All right, Eric, thanks, buddy. Appreciate your time. We'll see you tonight.
All right, sounds good. Do well, boys.
Man, it's this will be a fun one. This is getting good, man. This is Lightning time. It's been good for a while.
Look at this. My UCF Charge On podcast partner Sean Green chimed in. What about the Orlando Magic appointment TV tonight? Yeah, I'm gonna say no. I don't even know who the Magic are playing.
I think they got them Memphis tonight.
See, you might know more than I do. You're already almost.
I went to a Magic game this year.
You went to a Magic game this year. I can't say the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? They're playing great basketball. We were talking to Z about them last week. John Starks too. We had John Starks on Friday, and he obviously works in the Knicks front office. He's very impressed with the Magic. He said he knew last year that they were going to be a playoff team this year. He really likes the vibe of that team, how hard they play, how talented they are. So and Banchero obviously is he's a bona fide scorer.
Yeah. Hey, they are slated to play the Knicks in the first round, which would be really fun. And that might get Stephen A. Who knows? Maybe he'll come to Orlando to see this one. And he said he was snoring on the Magic. He was snoring. He paid him no attention apparently. But I don't know. I think the Magic might get a playoff round out of. I think they might get a playoff round win. I think they'll sneak one.
When's the last time they won a playoff round? We'll look that up in a break. Let's take one final break, and then we'll come back and tell you when the last time the Orlando Magic won. I tell you, in the NBA, the Eastern Conference, look, Boston looks great, but they also have some deficiencies. So I wouldn't lock them in the Eastern Conference. So we'll do a little NBA when we come back. We're brought to you by the great folks at Extravaganza Productions. Big meetings or small meetings, it does not matter. They can do it all. If you want a professional team to do your audio visual or come up with a theme for your party, for your charity event, whatever it is, a corporate event, it's the folks at Extravaganza Productions. You can get a free creative meeting with them. Go visit with them at their warehouse and their offices. Get to tour the warehouse, which is super cool. See all the cool stuff they have in there. It's Extravaganza Productions. Go to extravaganzaproductions.com and tell them JP sent you. Back in 3. Hey, it's a great time to buy a house and get a mortgage with American Mortgage Services. Okay, I got your attention now. But JP, rates are at 8%. That's true. But I spoke with our friend Scott Fitzgerald at AMS Tampa, and this is what smart people are doing. Rates peaked at 8% last month, but they've come down, and AMS recently locked some folks in the high 6s. Prices have also stabilized or dropped in some areas. So if you're going to eventually buy, now is the best time to get the house you want. Fitz will get you the best rate out there, shopping it around to dozens of lenders, and when rates come down in a year or so, and the frenzy begins again, prices go bananas again, you will already have the pick of the litter. Then he will refinance you and keep costs at nearly zero because that's what they do at AMS Tampa. You're back at 4% in the house you wanted while others fight the frenzy. Be smart. Stay one step ahead. Email Fitz at scott@amstampa.com, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. Scott Fitzgerald, NMLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance.
JP here for Extravaganza Productions. You know, I've worked with these pros on so many big and small events. They recently did the Kappa Alpha Psi Grand Reunion. the Tampa RV Show exhibit. They did the Skills Center opening of Tampa Bay. They can do those small events. They do the biggest of events. So if you were thinking about planning a meeting or special event, call the talented staff at Team EPI. They will give you a free creative meeting if you mention the JP Peterson Show. They will provide you with an exceptional experience. Heck, they'll even show you their huge warehouse with great props. Anything you want. They'll do it on time and on budget. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, just a few minutes left in today's show. We didn't even have to look it up. Your friend Sean Green gave it to us right here in our comments. 2010.
Oh my goodness. Stan Van Gundy, remember him, was the coach with Dwight Howard as the star player. That's how far back that goes.
Holy hell. That's a lot of that's 14 years of mediocrity. We know all about that here in Tampa Bay.
Legit. Like they just won like their 44th game of the season, I think. And like,
yeah,
they're like throwing a parade in the city.
We didn't thank all our commenters and or get some of their comments on today. Jeremy Lowe this morning. Brian Thomas Jr. he likes in the draft for the Bucks. Okay. Nathan Elliott. Good morning to you, my friend. I heard that Williams breakdown, Caleb Williams breakdown. Would that be Mr. CS who provided that analysis? Chris Sims. It might have been. I think it was him. Thank you. Mark Breslow. Welcome, Mark Breslow. Appreciate you. Hey, JP and Nick. I work for Baldwin. They are a publicly traded insurance brokerage firm headquartered in Tampa. So the new Baldwin Club named after a Tampa company there. I love that. Rick commenting on the three GMs said those three GMs sitting around having drinks. You know, Neander just orders a glass of water because his Rays credit card won't allow more than $10.
Jeez.
Hey, Jason, can you share your 2-for-1 Miller Lite? Yeah, maybe. I would say Light's picking up that tab. I think Jason Light would be picking up that tab. Definitely not the Rays, or they'd be going to the early bird special. Lonnie Wilkins, I went to the White Sox Saturday, only got the food. What a dog crap team they are this year. How's the food at Comiskey Park? What the hell is the name of that now? U.S. Cellular Field.
I have no idea. I've never been to that stadium. It's not on my bucket list, but it looks so like characterless. It really does.
Just blah. They're already talking about building a new one.
Right. Oh, I forgot to say, by the way, the speaking of the Rays Stadium, the new field in person, it looks fantastic. Fantastic. It really does.
See, Stu said he had to be talked into it. Yeah, it doesn't shock me. Any obvious great idea, he would have to be talked into. Are we going to buy a new
expensive field because they have to? I think he said on the broadcasts on opening day they have to water it. I think once a month.
Yeah. Is there pyro? The Rays have pyro now?
Yeah, they had some center field pyro going on.
Yeah, the backfill on the new field
is the
coconut husk.
It's coconut husk, right? And then in the field itself, it's like, is it walnuts that are crushed up?
Yeah, yeah. What's the smell going out there? Or walnuts and
I was thinking, what if you're allergic to
like
nuts?
The beach.
What if you're an outfielder allergic to nuts? I mean, is this a thing? I don't know.
That could be. Yeah. I didn't even think about that. Jeremy Lowe says, "What JP Latu, Thomas Jr., and Kool-Aid McKistry would be great targets. Chop would be interesting, but I would go get a wide receiver, Thomas Jr., if he falls to 26. I mean, that's a lot of these great position players are going to fall because there's just I think there's going to be a glut and a run on quarterbacks.
Sure.
Yeah. What else did we not get to over the weekend? Anything?
I did watch
Masters week by the week.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was the other thing yesterday. I watched the final few holes of that was the Houston Open because Scheffler was in it, and I cannot believe he missed a 4-foot putt to go to a playoff. He just missed it, and I could not believe it. But it was a good story for I think it was Stefan Jaeger who won. His wife and kid were right there on the green side, just waiting for it. And whenever Scheffler missed the putt, they came running over to him. He was almost in tears because I think he gained exemption into the Masters now.
Yeah.
So that was a big win for him.
That's cool.
Scheffler didn't need it, really.
No, he didn't. So good. I'm glad he missed it. Hopefully he missed it on purpose. But what a run he's on. Like he is a runaway favorite. And guess what? This week we get to see all the players. Isn't that going to be fun?
It is.
All right, Nick, appreciate you, my friend. I will be heading off to hopefully I will be in Colorado at some point tomorrow. Timmy will have the show for you tomorrow with all our regular guests, hopefully making an appearance. So we'll have that for you. And then I'll be back from the snowy slopes of Colorado, where we once broke the Tom Brady story many, many years ago. I'm looking forward to getting back and doing a little bit of skiing. Snow is good, I heard. It's always good in April, believe it or not, out in Colorado. So I will be there, but I will be with you guys all weekend long because I never take a vacation. That's just the way I am. I can't leave you people. I just can't do it. Love you too much. Thank you all for watching. We will be back tomorrow and all week long with live shows. See you then.